A rogue trader always cuts an impressive figure, whether in the courts of Imperial high society or upon a corpse-strewn battlefield, but none do so with more style than ELUCIA VHANE. Resplendent in her baroque finery, she appears much like a well-to-do Quaintrell, an appearance that is deliberately deceptive. Beneath her stylish apparel and confident demeanour lies the soul of a merciless and hyper-efficient predator, one whose claws are only sheathed until the moment of the kill. When her prey bares its throat or leaves even the slightest of openings, ELUCIA draws blur, her bejewelled cane rapier, and wields it with the deft quickness of a master duelist. The weapon's monomolecular edge shimmers with potent power, and although the blade is slim, it can cut through the thickest of armour with ease. With but the twitch of a trigger finger, she can riddle an enemy with bullets from her antique pistol, an heirloom from a more elegant period of humanity's long-forgotten past. At need, her ring can be flipped to reveal a priceless Jocaero digital weapon that emits a blinding laser beam, shooting out from its faceted surface to scorch eyes and melt flesh. VHANE's potent war gear is not limited to offensive weaponry, as her armoured corset houses within it the finest disruption field generators. From las beams to plasma bursts, all manner of incoming fire dissipates against a sudden flash of its protective screen. ELUCIA VHANE comes from a long-established rogue trader dynasty dating back to the 32nd millennium. Few rogue trader families can claim to have founded more Imperial colonies than have the VHANEs, earning them and their followers the moniker of STARSTRIDERS. Under her familial training, she has become an innate leader, and her quick thinking and rapid-fire decision-making has seen her escape from certain death many dozens of times. The VHANE dynasty of rogue traders remains tight-knit, typically working together in the galactic north. However, ELUCIA herself has left her family behind. Whether this is by her choice or theirs is a question she will not answer. Whatever the case, ELUCIA's actions show she is determined to make her deeds stand out, even amongst the rich history of her ancestors. Her bold demeanour will see her rise to glory or die trying. Even by the standards of the High Lords of Terror, ELUCIA VHANE is old. She keeps in excellent health through advanced medical procedures, most recently performed by rejuvenate adept SANISTASIA MINST, but accounts of her deeds span well over 500 Terran years. During her illustrious career, VHANE has discovered many star systems, mapped entire new sectors of the galaxy, and has been credited with founding no less than a dozen different colonies. She helped eradicate the last of the Xenos species, known as the Darlock, and has earned the eternal favour of Mars for sending the tech priests the coordinates leading to the planet Olemus, to date the most Promethean-rich planet in the Imperium. Her adventures on the edge of the galaxy have not all gone smoothly, however. Several bounties have been placed on her head, and she is wanted for questioning by a number of branches of the Inquisition, mostly about the deaths of a string of planetary governors upon distant border worlds. These Imperial agents know her as the mistress of the Black Flag, while the orcs of the Dondar system refer to ELUCIA as the Feathered Death. The Eldari Corsairs of the Galactic North call her Foulgal, a word that translates as either huntress or she-wolf. Starstrider, Scourge, Founder, Explorer, Saviour and Destroyer. VHANE is all of these things and more. VOIDSMASTER NITSCH and his squad became part of the ELUCIDIAN STARSTRIDERS when they were seconded from the Vengeance in exchange for the aid rendered to their task force by ELUCIA VHANE. Strict and professional in his duties, NITSCH is nevertheless well liked by his men. Even the most begrudging of their group admits that the vigour in training and constant discipline that the Voidmaster preaches has paid off in battle more than once. Additionally, NITSCH backs up his relentless pursuit of military excellence with numerous acts of loyalty and bravery under fire. There is no member of the squad NITSCH has not impressed through his actions. The Voidsmen still talk of the time he stepped between the squad and a boarding mob of orcs upon the Vengeance, the Voidmaster's artificer shotgun blasting apart the greenskin charge. VHANE herself has complimented NITSCH, as well as remarking upon his squad's ability to lay down an impressive spread of supporting fire. Of NITSCH's Voidsman squad, weapons specialist Stromian Grell is the most veteran, having served alongside the Voidmaster on 3 separate voyages. Once a hot-headed recruit, Grell has absorbed the lessons NITSCH so often shouts, and he now remains calm in battle by repeating mantras taught by the ecclesiarchy. By laying down effective fire in several engagements, Grell has earned the right to bear the squad's rotor cannon. The rest of the squad contains Voidsmaster Shalkus, the deadliest shot with the las pistol, Voidsmaster Riguez, a noted pessimist whose griping earns constant rebuke from NITSCH, and Voidsman Fearless, the youngest and most eager to prove himself. Many ancient Terran species still survive on planets settled during the Age of Technology and only recently rediscovered. On one such world, ELUCIA VHANE found a creature belonging to a domesticated species from the past, a canid. Naming the beast AXIMILLION, she brought it aboard the New Dawn, where it quickly bonded with the VOIDSMEN-AT-ARMS. They trained and outfitted the canid as one of their own, its heightened senses ensuring that not even foes hidden by cloaking technology could approach unnoticed. AXIMILLION moves with impressive speed and can deliver a powerful bite. Many times the canid has proven both an excellent guardian and loyal companion to all those within the ELUCIDIAN STARSTRIDERS. It has been only a few years since the LECTRO LARSEN van der GRAUSS joined the ELUCIDIAN STARSTRIDERS. While scouting for sources of the motive force for his homeworld of Mars, van der GRAUSS was urged by his superiors to forsake his vaultless searches along the eastern fringe in order to join the expeditions of the rogue trader. After all, VHANE had discovered the Promethean-rich planet of Elemus and was seen by Mars as one of the most influential and likely to discover treasures of all rogue traders. Since that time, Larsen van der GRAUSS has traded his technical expertise and the impressive protections of his Voltageist array for a chance to travel at VHANE's side across the frontier. Detailed reports, in static code, stream constantly back from van der GRAUSS to Mars, keeping the tech priests apprised of the rogue traders' every move. SANISTASIA MINST was once the preeminent Rejuvenate adept in the Talassar sector. Tragically, her meteoric rise to power was reversed just as she had begun to make a name for herself. After successfully treating the skin rot of the Dothar aristocracy and ensuring the ravages of the disease were erased, MINST began to have waking dreams of a maiden trapped in a cage and forced to suffer eternally by contracting and then overcoming a potent new disease each day. She became obsessed with the idea of a panacea, a cure-all that could heal even a god. It was this fixation that saw SANISTASIA begin to neglect her duties of rejuvenation. When the High Princess Kirtley Dothar began to show signs of her 180-year lifespan, SANISTASIA was forced to flee. She took up with ELUCIA VHANE, leaving the Ultramar system on the New Dawn in the hope of beginning afresh. It worked, for a while, until the vessel plied the depths of the warp. There something spoke to SANISTASIA, promising her an innate understanding of all diseases and the cures that could banish them. All she had to do was to sabotage a certain panel of a certain warp drive, and the knowledge would be hers. Strange are the ways of the death cults. Rising to the upper echelons of her cult, the Winged Skull, KNOSSO Promd was forced by the political manoeuvrings of her own priestesses to take a cruel vow, to strike out into the galaxy, unable to speak a word or return to her temple until she had slain a specimen of no less than 1,000 different Xenos races. After years of hunting, KNOSSO crossed paths with ELUCIA VHANE. By wordlessly offering her services to the rogue trader, Promd was able to travel the fringes of the galaxy, bringing her face to face with a huge number of exotic alien species, greatly increasing her kill tally. Although silent, Promd has developed a strong rapport with the rogue trader and acts as her champion. Amstein Vulge was once a strapping engine master in command of the engine decks of the starship New Dawn, but the GELLERPOX virus changed all that. Now he is a twisted lord, better known as VULGRAR Thrice Cursed, or simply Old Boiler Guts. While the corrupted Geller field generator bestowed many darksome gifts upon the entire crew, none were granted more than Vulge. The engine master swelled massively in size, his new form supported by bulging muscles and a dark pulsing vitality. In a disturbing ceremony, the writhing bodies of his two first mates became absorbed within his own flesh, and thus did Vulge become the three-headed VULGRAR. Horrific to look upon, the Twisted Lord sprouted new limbs and developed an ability to skin graft weapons into his body, merging man and machine with gruesome results. Not all the crew of the New Dawn accepted their gifts willingly. In combat against such non-believers, VULGRAR proved more than a match for even the most veteran amongst them, his multiple weapon-tipped limbs pummeling and ripping apart any who dared oppose him. Yet VULGRAR saved his most dangerous weapon until he was confronted by 24 VOIDSMEN-AT-ARMS. Shrugging off lasgun fire, the Twisted Lord exposed his distended guts to reveal a raging fire burning within. His belly had become a disease furnace that was stoked by hatred. With a grunt, VULGRAR issued forth a gout of corrupting fire, an unnatural inferno that engulfed his enemies. None survived, and their blackened bones now help fuel the flickering flames that still burn within the Twisted Lord. VULGRAR is a boisterous leader, looking after not only those mutants beneath him, but also the infected Geller field generator that gifted him with his new abilities. It was he who first succumbed to its call, and who gathered others of the crew to perform the base rituals. Those that dissented from this new path were quickly shown the error of their ways. At first, the infected have been like a carbuncle on the underbelly of their host culture, but eventually it was they who ruled the ship. In all his zealous actions to grow his beloved cult, VULGRAR still shows elements of his old engine master self, cooing over well-made mechanisms and expressing appreciation for the solid craftsmanship of the machines and mutations that surround him. The GELLERPOX virus elevates an Engineerium's crew's natural reverence for the life-saving technology they maintain to a new and disturbing level, and before long they come to worship the Geller field generator. Throughout their escalating veneration, they fail to realise that the drive has been compromised and now hosts a vile warp entity. Over time, the crew absorbs baleful emanations emitted from the corrupted machinery and become mutated. In a final submission to chaos, the bewitched crew rest their heads upon the Geller field generator's housing, the better to commune with the animus inside. The steel of that giant machine flows like quicksilver around their heads, encasing their craniums in immaterium tainted metal. When struck in battle, those Geller cores smash flash, sending warp-saturated energy bursts outwards with enough force to shred the sanity of anyone in close quarters. In addition to these disturbing masks, the mutants are afflicted with foul boils, horrifically bloated bellies, necrotic skin, and malformed limbs, often one or more of which will take the form of tentacles, scythes, or other weird lumpen shapes. Strangely, the GELLERPOX disease can affect machinery and will often fuse man with machine, grafting weapons into mutant appendages. The speech of GELLERPOX mutants is garbled, muffled by masks, but also made near intelligible by mechanical whirs, bleeps and static. In a similar fashion to others blessed by Nurgle's dubious gifts, bearers of the GELLERPOX are notoriously resistant and can shrug off what would otherwise prove to be mortal wounds. Lumbering from the underdecks of the New Dawn came a gruesome horde. Mechanics and mates that had once served Vulge had been transformed into GELLERPOX mutants who answered to VULGRAR Thrice Cursed. They were the Vox Shamblers, Grummux, Puglox and the Herg, twisted variants of their former selves who now acted as the Twisted Lord's apostles, spreading the virus aboard the New Dawn. Those unblessed by Nurgle were beaten and given one last chance to bow before the sickly coloured Geller field generator, one final chance to recognise the divine machinery that pulsed before them. In battle, the Vox Shamblers are terrifying and tenacious foes. As they march, from beneath their masks comes a garbled speech that mixes words given shape by swollen, cyst-covered tongues with bursts of static machine code, Vox signals and mechanical whirs and clicks. They can absorb prodigious amounts of firepower, barely even slowing in their efforts to get close and deliver their own devastating blows. Glitchlings are small demons, close cousins to the entities known as Nurglings, a fusion of machine plague and electrostatic energy. The mites were first reported in M32, shortly after the demon Primarch Pertarabo made a pact with Nurgle that saw him pervert the 8 rituals of possession and turn them against the forge world of toil. That planet was conquered not only by the Iron Warriors, but also by the Tech Priest's own machines, their trusted engines becoming nightmarish, cybernetic horrors that were as much demonic flesh as metal. Waddling amongst the machine beasts were plump, diminutive creatures that cackled in scrap code and glowed with baleful energy. Even as the guns of the Forge World's defenders focused on larger targets, the glitchlings ran wild. Their disruptive aura caused cogitators, electrolumens and machine spirits to falter or go haywire. In their moments of greatest need, the defenders found their weapons stuttering and flickering as the machine plague took its toll. Similar strange anomalies have been recorded across the galaxy since the Wall of Toil. Wherever the glitchlings bounce forth, long-cherished guns in fine working order suddenly fail, the most reliable servitors stumble to a grinding halt, and tanks in pristine condition suddenly rust as if aged by hundreds of years in the blink of an eye. Such is the glitchling's true purpose, to bring entropy and disease to machines, infecting circuitry, contaminating mechanical parts, and degrading metal rather than bringing plague to creatures of flesh and blood. Although their greatest joy is in disrupting the technology of the mortal races, glitchlings are malicious creatures, and they find it immensely entertaining to stab or bite foes that are distracted by their weapons malfunctioning. Although small and relatively puny, the glitchlings secrete a noxious substance that covers their claws, teeth and blades, so that any wounds they are caused are full of infectious disease. Burbling nonsensical words and emitting spark-filled belches, the gregarious glitchlings bound across the battlefield in small packs. They take extraordinary glee in spreading mayhem and express puerile behaviour in the form of rude gestures, suggestive capers, and the tittering laughter over the pain and destruction they leave in their wake. They mock and mimic the curses or looks of shock that come over defenders as their trusted weapons inexplicably falter at precisely the worst moment. The exact connection between the glitchlings and the GELLERPOX virus is unknown, but each breakout thus far recorded has been accompanied by a host of the diminutive mischief makers. Some warp-borne mutations are more pronounced than others. Those referred to as nightmare hulks have reached the apogee of transformation that a mortal frame can withstand before it bursts apart in a fountain of gore or becomes a chaos spawn. Each over 10 foot tall and weighing well over a ton, nightmare hulks are so far past the limits of normality that only the tiniest shreds of sanity and intellect are left to them. Such lumbering mutants are much prized in the vassal hosts of chaos, for they are past notions of fear and exist simply to rend and tear in a manner of a frenzied beast. Many a headlong charge against an Imperial fortress has been led by a line of rampaging nightmare hulks. Eyes bulging and muscles straining, heedless of their own force's casualties, they smash into the bunker doors and crush Ferrocrete with their jagged claws and grasping tentacles. The sheer hideousness of the nightmare hulks is a weapon in itself, for they boast all manner of diseased deformities, growths and disgusting features. Extra mouths gnash, tentacles writhe, plentiful folds of skin sway and bulge ominously as if something inside was writhing its way out. The sight of these monstrosities alone can drive a spike of crippling fear into even the most stalwart of hearts. Many are the foes that dropped weapons and fled in horror at the approach of something so gruesome and unnatural. Permanently enraged, nightmare hulks hurtle towards the nearest foe, eager to smash their victims to bloody paste. Some carry crude weapons, but most prefer to attack with their powerful claws, throttle with their sucker-lined tentacles, or even swallow adversaries whole. The largest and most powerful of their kind are known as colossal hulks, and their ferocity is second to none. Aboard the New Dawn, the outbreak of the GELLERPOX virus did not affect all members of the crew equally. Most of the infected became GELLERPOX mutants, while some simply devolved into sentient flesh puddles. A select few, however, rippled with warp-enhanced muscles, growing into nightmare hulks. These massive mutants were strong enough to punch through the plasteel of the hull, hence their new name, the HULLBREAKERS. Only VULGRAR thrice cursed can command the lumbering behemoths. They are sent to clear out resistance, smash down locked bulkheads, and rip through the walls to get those that hide from the glory of the infected Gellerfield generator. The Vox Shamblers have begun to identify each of the nightmare hulks by their names. Nasha Screamer is an amalgamation of several crew, their mouths eternally shrieking or chomping. Big Spike once stuck his armoured protrusion through a plasteel door and skewered 3 men with the same blow, and the Writher is named for his profusion of disturbingly waving tentacles. It is not mankind alone that suffers mutation due to the twisting powers of chaos. A long list of parasites have plagued those that travel the stars, but when subjected to enough of the vile energies of the warp, such organisms grow from disturbing nuisances to the most vile of predators. A variety of freakish creatures scamper, buzz and slither amongst the mutant horde. These organisms were once parasites that suckled unseen upon humanity, but after being bathed in warp energy, they have grown to the size of canids. As their statures have increased, so too have their appetites. They charge headlong towards prey, hissing and chittering as they seek to sate their never-ending hunger. The dirty-bodied flies that buzz from the corpses of chaos-infected cadavers are often imbued with a tiny portion of warp energy. These insects become steel-sharp of proboscis and swollen of abdomen. Their spindly legs like barbed needles that sink into the skin of their targets. Eye stinger swarms are fast, able to dart, dodge and change direction in mid-air, making them extremely difficult targets. They are amongst the most feared warp parasites, for they attack their victims' faces, knowing that to blind and terrify their prey is to ensure a far easier meal. With a repellent droning, the mutated flies will work in unison, their proboscis stabbing at their victims' eyes. Those whose skin has been punctured during the attack soon find their flesh rippling and ocular organs bulging outward. Noxious maggots emerge from their bodies within seconds, burrowing their way out to reveal a foul new brood of eye stingers. The hopping, leaping insects, known as curse mites, were once minuscule blood drinkers that were little more than a painful nuisance. However, having fed upon the distorting powers of chaos, such parasites grow huge. They are still drawn to the scent of gore, and they spring forwards with shocking swiftness to bowl over their prey. Once their stabbing mouthparts find an artery, curse mites can drain a man-sized host of blood in seconds. As they feast, the parasites' bodies balloon, swelling in size even as they turn crimson. Only after draining a foe of every drop of blood will they fall off, but this sated state lasts mere seconds before they are bounding off again in search of another living meal. The leech-like creatures, known as sludge grubs, are swollen and grotesque. They slither from dank hiding places to batten on their victims, their fang-lined maws capable of delivering a deep and nasty bite. Once attached, sludge grubs are all but impossible to remove. It is dangerous to even try, for in bursting their soft bodies, one risks being splattered by their extremely caustic innards. Mutated by the warp, sludge grubs are filled with an acidic fluid that can burn through any armour. The loathsome parasites can spit small sticky globules of this substance a short distance, allowing a pack of them to fell larger prey upon which to feed.